So, howdy y'all. This is my first video back in the US, and we are currently in Marietta, Georgia. We're going to be discovering a little bit of some Southern history, a little bit of my roots. I'm not originally from Georgia, but I'm from South Carolina, and yeah, it's kind of cool to go over the history of more or less where I'm from. So if you guys know the area a little bit, you'll probably know of Atlanta, Georgia, which is one of the biggest cities in the US, which is essentially Marietta is part of the greater Atlanta area. But Marietta is actually older than Atlanta, and there were even settlements as early as 1824, some houses here where Marietta is. But I think it was officially recognized in 1837. It might be 1839. Let me make sure about that. So there's a lot of really cool old buildings in Marietta. A lot of them have burned down, which I'll go over in a bit. But to begin with, we've got this building right behind me, which was known as the Fletcher House and is now the Kennesaw House slash Hotel. Well, now it's a museum, but it was the Kennesaw House and Hotel, as you guys can see. So it was built in 1845 and was originally used as a cotton warehouse, as cotton plantations were very abundant in the South at that time. And it used to be 4 stories tall. Now, because of the cotton warehouse, it was really close to the railroad track, so it was perfect acting as a warehouse, so you could easily just plop cotton onto the trains and then transport them. The reason it's only 3 stories now is that during the Civil War, the 4th story actually burned down because the Union soldiers, so during the Civil War you had the North and the South of the US fighting. The Union soldiers actually came through a lot of the South and burned the city to the ground, and some of the embers actually caught fire on the 4th story and burned it, but they were able to save the rest of the building, and so now it's only 3 stories tall. And here we're gonna continue walking through the streets here. Right now we're at the Marietta Welcome Center, so here you guys can see that. And actually back in the past, I think it was in the 1840s, this actually, because of the grading, it was flat, they actually had horse races here right around in this area. I'm not sure how long that lasted, but supposedly that was done in the 1840s. So now we're walking into the Marietta Square. Let me turn the camera around. Hey. And so this was one of the first things built in Marietta, this square here. And after that, some of these buildings that you see around it were also built. Now, a lot of the original buildings were burned down because of kerosene lamp fires or because of the Civil War in 1864. As I said before, Union troops came through the South and burned a lot of the cities down. Marietta was one of them. But going a little bit further back, talking about this, the square being one of the first things that was built here, the reason that Marietta started booming with business and becoming an actual city was because of the railroad that was built. It was the Western and Atlantic Railroad, trying to connect the West to the Atlantic to bring resources across the country. And this was one of the stops. So Marietta became one of the cities where it was one of those stops for the railroad, and they started developing a lot of industry in the South here. Now, as you guys can see right here, this building, First National Bank, you can see what it's made of. It's made of marble. And one thing about northern Georgia, the state that we're in, Georgia, is that it's known for its marble. They actually have a lot of quarries here where they excavate marble, and it's known to be very pure and durable. And actually a lot of monuments and buildings that are made of marble here in the US actually come from the marble that's been mined in northern Georgia. So this is one of the buildings that was built here in the city using marble from one of the mines here. Woo! So now where we're walking to is Marietta's National Cemetery. And the National Cemetery was essentially built right around, well, after the Civil War. Originally it was proposed to bury both the Union and the Confederate soldiers in 1866, but the citizens were not happy about that and refused. So 2 years later, they ended up, collecting the bodies during the Civil War, the dead, and they buried over 10,000 people here. Now, I have a friend who lives here who told me this is where the Union soldiers are buried, and supposedly there's another cemetery with the Confederate soldiers. I don't know if that's true. We'll find out here soon, because they might both be buried here at this National Cemetery as well. So one thing I wanted to add before we get to the cemetery is that you guys have probably noticed a lot of the American flags around, and that's because it was just the 4th of July here in the US, so Day of Independence here. So that's the reasoning behind those all those American flags up. So now we're finally in the cemetery, and as you can probably see, the stones, the gravestones, are probably all North Georgia marble. Now, it isn't just a Civil War cemetery. On this side, we have the Vietnam American War, World War II, Korea, Vietnam. So here you see there's a little mix of different wars. It is not only the Civil War. But here we have a lot of gravestones that are also for unknown US soldiers. So we'll go ahead, we'll walk up to the top. I want to see if I can't find out some more information about the cemetery up here. I don't know if it's a visitor center, a mausoleum, or what it is, but I guess we'll find out here in just a second. Now while we're walking up to the top to learn a little bit more about it, you can see that the cemetery just keeps on going. I think I can see the boundary over here, but yeah, it's quite a large cemetery. So it seems like the majority of the soldiers who were buried here for the Civil War were those that were of the Union side, so the northern side. But if you can tell where we're in right now, this place is absolutely beautiful. And once again, marble, most likely from northern Georgia. So now we're heading away from the cemetery. And actually the cemetery was donated by Henry Green Cole in 1866. All right. It was donated in 1866, and it's 23 acres of land. So as I was told, it was originally used to bury the Union soldiers during the Civil War, and then later it was used to also bury Union soldiers or veterans of the Civil War, and then wars after that, so Vietnam, Korea, and World War II. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but got a parking garage here, another parking garage over there. In the US, a lot of cities and towns have a lot of parking garages because we all drive cars. So a lot of times you'll have almost 40% of a town, of the surface area, being allocated or used for parking. Which is very interesting if you're coming from a country in Asia or in Europe where it's very different. Little fun fact while we're walking. And another parking garage over there. So there you guys have it. A little bit of Southern history in the small downtown of Marietta, Georgia. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave some comments down below. Let me know what you thought. And I'll try to do a little bit more videos about Southern history here before I leave for Mexico. So if I've got the time, I'll do a few more videos.
I will kill your friends.
Hey guys. Hey. It's funny. Almost getting more looks here than in Vietnam. Anyways, guys. So if you enjoyed the video, please leave some comments down below. Let me know what you thought, and I'll be seeing you guys next time. So ciao ciao.